everyone. Welcome to our podcast today. I'm here, Virus Vox, and the other side is Mr. Jake. So today we have a special treat for you. In this episode 16 of our podcast.
Is it
Yeah,
16 or 17?
who fucking cares? You want to
I don't know. Look at
read
the title.
Yeah, exactly. Um, we decided to do something special, but before we jump into what you just saw that we're gonna talk about, I want to talk about two topics. First, you watch the movie, right?
I
Come
watch
on,
the
tell me.
movie. I watch the movies religiously.
No. Before we start with Back to the Future, I want to talk about two topics that we've been talking about. The basketball transgender movie. You haven't watched it?
Lady Ballers. Yes,
Lady
yes.
Baller.
We did a review on Average Intelligence podcast, which you can see on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon, all those places.
So it's important that you go and listen to that. And your perception for our followers in Toon Talk, like it or not?
I sent Eric a text message predicting because I didn't watch it on the premiere night. I was too busy watching a good movie. I went and saw Godzilla -1, but I watched it the next day, and he had told me he's like finished it, and I liked it, and I said, I think it's a movie that it'll be funny, but it will lack any substance, any heart whatsoever. And I was pretty much dead on. It was a movie that the way I described it is it was technically fine. There were no glaring errors in the actual like production. You can tell the writing was not even close to polished. The movie lacked any real heart, and they came close twice. But then they couldn't resist throwing another joke in. They couldn't let the scene play out in a way that actually meant something. I said I gave it about an 80%. It was close, and don't get me wrong, like a lot of the jokes were funny, but and I'm sure you'll agree with me, the best comedy movies are the ones that are funny and are also good movies. Like there's a story and then there's a narrative thread that gets resolved by the
And
end.
there's a pace that needs to happen with a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And with all due respect, that when you let journalists and activists write a freaking movie, regardless of who you bring on, the leadership of the movie is not for Hollywood, and we're used to the Hollywood movie. When you see Talladega Nights, right, with Ricky Bobby, it's amazingly funny because it had a story, background, and yeah, I was waiting for two things from you. First, give me your opinion, and second, so you can give me your password so I can watch it.
Oh, okay. I'll text you.
What about it?
It's I'll put it to you this way: it's worth seeing because I mean, the best way I can describe a lot of the jokes in the movie is the jokes in a vacuum are funny, but in the context of the narrative, they don't jive. It's like they're writing the movie based on being able to crack the jokes, and that's where it suffers. The jokes in a vacuum are funny, and some of them are funny within the narrative, but you can tell they're writing it to fit more jokes in. There are scenes, I can think of three, that should have been cut out entirely, and almost every scene could be trimmed, and it would have been, not only would it have been fine, it would have been better.
That happened. Now, my second question before we jump deeply, Gojira.
I was also right in my prediction of that one too, because I believe I said that my favorite Godzilla movie is the first one, but I think that will change when I see Godzilla -1. And I'm correct. Godzilla -1, I will say this, if you're only used to the American Godzilla movies, you're probably going to like this movie, but you're probably not going to love this movie. It's a very Japanese Godzilla movie, but that's what I like. That being said, the budget for this thing was only $15 million and it looks incredible. I listened to one review on YouTube where the guy was like, the CGI didn't really impress me. And I was like,
Dude, you
it's
have a YouTube channel, bro. Like CGI is a green screen using Zoom. Like,
well, no, I that's what this guy said. And I was like, I don't know what movie you watched.
well, people don't know that you don't have a cat. Actually, that's CGI produced by a
That's true. And I'll put
Record.
I will put it to you this way. If you're going to complain about the CGI in Godzilla minus one, um, you can't like The Flash or anything that Marvel has put out in the past 2 years. You can't like anything DC's put out in the past. Basically, you can't like anything that Hollywood's put out in the past 2 years with CGI, because if your budget is $100 million and the CGI babies look like that, you can't
Yeah,
complain about Godzilla minus one.
the babies in Flash are a bit straight.
I
A bit
mean,
straight.
all of it, really? It all kind of looked eh. But Hollywood, take notes, because if Toho can do that with 15 million, just hire them to do all your stuff, please.
Well, and we talked about this in the past. There's so many people cooking the plate that at the end, instead of being a gourmet movie, it's been a freaking casserole of leftovers, right? The movies. And the small budget movies become such a passionate project for the person directing it or writing it that it becomes more honest because it's just one voice.
But I've always, and this is kind of true for Godzilla as a franchise, the Japanese side, they've always been kind of low budget movies. Like, there have been Godzilla movies that had high budgets for a Godzilla movie, but you would never consider them big budget movies. And yet it has the fan base that it has. And I think part of the magic is the filmmakers of every era have to work within a certain budget, and they make it work out of necessity. You know, what is the phrase? Necessity is the mother of invention. You find ways to not necessarily cut corners, but oh, okay, we want Godzilla to do this. And that's why they started doing suitmation in the first place. Stop motion was going to be too expensive. So they're like, okay, we'll just put a guy in a suit and build the miniatures we were going to build anyway. But now this just became substantially cheaper.
This looks better than 1992 Gotcha fighting Charles Barkley in the Air Max commercial. Does that look better?
Does it?
You never saw that commercial?
Dude, it was in the video I did. Of course I saw it.
So
Yeah, it
if
looks...
better than that, I'm good with it.
Dude, it looks way better than that. And not only that, it's a really good movie. And I will say this. I'm just going to forewarn people. Massive Godzilla fan, have been pretty much my entire life. I'm sitting in the theater. About the first half, there were parts of it that I thought, I don't understand why you're showing me this, but I had faith. I was never like, this is bad. I'm just like, I don't understand why you're showing me this. It feels like it's going on too long. But by the time you get to... Certainly by the time you get to the end, but I'd say by about the time you get to 3/4 of the movie, you understand all of it. There's no real wasted motion. Anything that I didn't like about the movie were so nitpicky that I'm not even worried about it. Like, for example, this isn't a spoiler. In this Godzilla timeline, Godzilla existed before the atomic bomb, but he was smaller and basically just a dinosaur that lived on Odo Island. That is not new. That's been in... at least one other sort of continuity. I think more than one, but it's been in at least one other. So that's nothing new. It's an origin that I don't particularly love, but it was so not important in the context of how good the movie was. It's not even worth talking about. The soundtrack, though, holy shit. The soundtrack is so good. And I found an interesting little Easter egg that I guess I'll debut it here. I can't decide how I want to do it. I might bring it up in the review I do. I noticed something. The soundtrack is listed as, I think it's Godzilla theme part 2. Did you ever see the original King Kong versus Godzilla in 1963? So you know the song that the natives play to put Kong asleep?
Yeah, of course.
The composer, Naoki, I think his name is, he takes that, I don't know what would you call that, a musical motif, like that song, and he puts it in with the Godzilla theme, and it's very good. But I was listening to it and I'm like, I've heard this song before, and then it hit me. I'm like, oh,
the one now.
What's that?
Who was performing the one that you? the new one. Who performed the new one?
Well, I mean, an orchestra performed it, but the composer was. Hang on, I can tell you.
I need to tell you something. Are you saying that this new composer reimagined the original?
It's more like he added, because I mean, every new composer puts in the famous theme by Akira Ifukube, and kind of, I don't even know if you'd say reimagine it. They just kind of put it into it's a musical theme that's in every.
Called me and told me, hey, I'm gonna follow your trend. I'm gonna reimagine it. And I go, go ahead, buddy. I don't know what you think. Um, I was excited. I was gonna watch it. To be honest with you, I was in the movie theater, and I needed to wait 40 minutes for the release, or go right away to watch Napoleon. What a big mistake in my life. I don't know what I wait. I could wait. I will talk about it right after.
By the way, it was composed by Naoki Sato, and
Really?
it's
Never heard about him. It's really good.
there's not, and there's some new music in there that I thought, wow, if you had taken this and put it in the original, it would have fit right in. Even though it's new, it sounds amazing. There's so many nods to other Godzilla movies throughout, but it's not in a way that's. It's one of those things where if you know, you know, but it doesn't feel like it's forced ever. Because there's a couple things that I didn't even click until I was like watching clips afterward for other videos and stuff. But there was some stuff that I noticed right away, like the newscasters on the building that end up. It's not a spoiler because it happened in the first movie. The newscasters that are on the building and then Godzilla kills them in the building. All that. There's a shot of a mother and daughter in the crowd. That's a tip to the hat to the original. You know, there's a bunch of little things. There's one of the main characters in this one is a pilot from World War II. That's a nod to Godzilla raids again. Then you have the musical motif. I think there might be at least a slight nod to just about every major Godzilla movie in this one.
Good. I'm glad that you like it. Well, 1 to 10. What do you say?
As a Godzilla movie, it's a 10. General movies, just because of the subject matter, I'd give it an 8 or an 8.5 because some people just aren't going to like it and there's some, like I said, if you're only a fan of like the America Godzilla movies, particularly the new ones, the Gareth Edwards one and then the other ones, you're probably not going to love this movie because there's no big monster fight, but it's a very good movie.
Let me ask you something. You think that Clover City, by the way, this show is sponsored by Coca-Cola. Thank you guys in Coca-Cola. You guys don't give us money. You don't give us free stuff, but we still believe that you sponsor us.
I'm still waiting for my check.
Yeah. Or at least free Coke.
Dude, I'll take that.
I'll take that. So I'm going to ask you a really, really stupid question for a fan, but I'm not talking about myself. Somebody asked me this, and as a journalist of entertainment, I must ask the specialist, Godzilla. Cloverfield is part of the franchise of Godzilla? Yes or no?
No.
And why?
Why is it not? Because it's not Godzilla. No, okay. Time out. Let me rephrase. Are you talking about the legendary MonsterVerse Godzilla continuity, or?
That's what I'm asking. If it's part of the universe, because somebody asked me, I said, you know what? Let me ask Jake. That he's the one that knows.
No, it's not.
So the monster in Cloverfield, what is it?
I don't know, but it's not Godzilla.
Could be a nephew.
Oh God, who knows?
I'm starting a theory over there that actually I think that it was a remake of Godzilla, and they could or Godzilla, or whatever you want to call it.
Okay, I can accept that it might be a remake, but
a remake of that. I got that perception. Somebody asked me, said, you know, I don't have the right answer.
Well, but so I would say it's probably more likely in the kaiju universe. You know the movie Kaiju?
Yeah.
That would make more sense to me. Although, wow, talk about a movie I thought I was gonna hate and loved it.
Really?
Because it's such a weird concept, but I actually like it a lot. I was not expecting to like this movie, but I'm down with it. I'm there.
Cool. That's great. Thank you for these 2 comments to start and keep. Toon Talk today, and let's go to the main event.
Wait. I got a question for you though.
Oh,
On a scale of 1 to 10, how bad was Napoleon?
okay. Let me go deep, a little deep into Napoleon. I think that Riley Scott is so progressive and such a master in his craft that make a big analysis and create a movie that is gonna get nominated. It has every aspect to win an award because we know that he plays for awards every time he does something. Great acting, great the wardrobe, and it's fantastic. No
Ye-
question.
Yeah, I did hear the wardrobe was very good.
It was really probably the best of the movie. However, being a Riley Scott and be so progressive, and we're talking a guy that changed the pace of how we narrate a historic movie that never happened with Gladiator. Okay? I want you to put in your mind. People don't usually see behind and between the lines. I think that he created the first Napoleon TikTok profile. And stay with me, because if you watch the movie, it doesn't have a continuity, I mean, a pace of a normal Hollywood movie. It's like you're actually open his TikTok, scroll all the way down and watch the first one, and you see that scene, that information in a few minutes, and then you change and you're in another era. If it's continuous, yes, that's the bullet, but it's another era when you have other characters surrounding him, and then that scene is over, and then you go to a war, and then to another, and then to another. Then suddenly Josephine there. Then appears his mother appears 2 times, Napoleon's mother, and the scene is mother Joseph, and he left. They go cut. They're out of the ball, and now we're in another fight. The pace of development for this new generation that cannot hold for a normal viewer could be boring. For other people, could be bad. I think that is progressive, a new age in movie cinema, narrating a story of somebody that these generations don't know. And I
Hmm.
think needed for in that perspective. If I'm right, and Riley Scott or any one of these people are going, hey, Virus, you got it, bro. Please just text it underneath. If I'm totally wrong, and even the PA, there's the personal assistant of the PA that was in the production, things that I'm wrong, just put it underneath. Because in my perception, he visualized a script where this new generation and the next one could adopt. Because if he does the always long story of the drama, of the pace, I mean, we see him married, the next scene he's fighting, the next scene she's fucking somebody else, the next scene I think he's in another fight, the next cut goes to him reading the newspaper, the next cut she's fucking the lover, the next cut he's in the house. So you see, we don't see the normal taste of, oh, she's cheating. Bring me my horse. We will get that. I'm gonna kill it. No, it's just cut after cut, like you're watching a profile of social media.
Hmm.
I think that could make it progressive and innovative. As a whole, I think that it was in early stages to make it portrayed like that. Like I say, it's gonna get nominated, it's gonna win, everybody gonna clap, but the reality is that we have chops of a memory of a lost hero that nobody needs.
Hmm.
I mean, the brother arrives and say, Napoleon, we're gonna do it like that. We don't know about the brother. We don't get introduced the brother. I know history. The brother was there. The brother is a huge aspect of Napoleon life to have a connection to the politics. And he's there 2 or 3 scenes, but we don't know about him. We don't know his life. The guy that put him in the Senate, we don't know him. We don't know his life. They're just there. It's like Napoleon is telling you his story without looking at the fourth dimension and just in memories. I mean, it's not a spoiler. Napoleon dies, right? So the scene of his death is he plays with his daughter 2 lines, and then we see his back. He died. Black. You see, the paste is really. It's,
Huh? Because see, I always thought I personally believe, as somebody who was a huge fan of Ridley Scott, I feel like ever since Robin Hood, he lost it a bit. I did like his movie The Last Duel, which I think was way underappreciated, but like you said, it was different, and I think a lot of people didn't quite get it. And don't get me wrong, I have issues with that movie too, but again, they're quite small.
Which one
But
you're saying?
The Last Duel,
Okay, yeah. The Last Duel is a prequel in the style of this. You see, we have the perspective, the perspective, and the perspective.
but that movie
However,
has the benefit of
different
going
perspective.
going back and revisiting those same scenes from a different perspective. But
And
I see what you're saying.
but you see that kind of taste. And let's be honest, it's funny that how you call it? Really, Scott?
Oh, Ridley Scott, yeah.
Ridley. Well, yeah, in Latin America, I call him Brian, but Ridley Scott, same different. Probably he called himself as. So since his brother's suicide, he changed.
When did that happen?
Um, 2 years after Gladiator, he sadly committed suicide. So after that, his Google it, his own perspective. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I'm pretty sure something like that happened.
Well,
Because
I'm looking up Robin Hood because I was so excited to see that. One of my favorite movies of all time is the director's cut of Kingdom of Heaven, which Ridley Scott also directed. It's not even close to historically accurate, but it's a good movie.
which one are you talking about, Robin Hood? Just clarify it for the people of the audience.
The 2010 Ridley Scott directed Robin Hood.
I know, but who's acting there?
Oh, Russell Crowe is Robin, and then Kate Blanchett is Marion Warrior Queen.
You remember we have Kevin Costner one, and then we have Men in Tights. And I just want to clarify, there's have so many versions of Ridley Scott.
Yeah, this is the one starring Russell Crowe, where lions become where lambs become lions, and we
I
have.
don't think it's a bad movie, bro.
It's so bad, dude. It's so bad.
Not a good Robin Hood movie. It's not a bad movie.
No, it's not a good movie. None of it makes any sense. First of all, okay, so this is a pet peeve of mine when it comes to historical movies. Now, Kingdom of Heaven is an example of a movie that is not historically accurate, but it is good enough that it will drive a lot of people to research the time period. And then there are movies that are very historically accurate, but oftentimes can be boring as hell because they're so accurate. Now, for history buffs like me, now Midway is probably the best example of when it works and it's historically accurate, but that's lightning in a bottle. There's usually too many characters, it's hard to keep track of, and a lot of audiences don't like that. Midway did the impossible.
Okay, let's assume that it's a bad movie. Did you Google his brother thing?
Oh no, not yet, but I was making a point. Then you have movies like Gladiator, which are movies that they're not historically accurate, but they're historically authentic. So Maximus is not a real person, but
what are you talking about?
But Maximus is an amalgamation of real people all smushed together and presented in a way so that we can experience the narrative and also experience the world of ancient Rome. How they portray ancient Rome is incredibly accurate, even though these people didn't exist as we're seeing them on screen. Because, for example, Commodus was a real person, but he didn't kill his father. He didn't die in the arena, but he was killed by his gladiator coach. So that's fun.
Yes, but I think that's not a historic movie, like you say. It's just a movie well done. And,
Well, that's the point.
one of a million movies, man. What he accomplished with Gladiator is never gonna happen again in the history of movies.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Gladiator is a really, really good movie.
Well, but so then you have movies like, which I'm not comparing this to Gladiator, but then you have movies like Troy, which are definitely not historically accurate, but they are, well, that one's a bad example because they're not legend accurate either. But if you have a story that's based on an ancient myth, you go with the myth. So you go with the source material, not necessarily the history.
I got it, but honestly, totally honest with you, I don't think that Troy is even in the same
It's not. It's not.
level category of Gladiator.
Oh
I
no
think
no
that
no! It's not. It's not. It's not.
it's a movie that has 9.5. It could be in one of the perfect movies, Gladiator. Got a few things that what I don't put it there, but Troy, come on, it's just 8.
Oh, I know. I know. I admit that was a poor example. I'm trying to think of. Well, you got movies like Braveheart, which again, not historically accurate, but everybody loves that movie.
I know somebody that actually hated so much that never finished.
They never finished it. You have to finish it. Oh,
I
you?
couldn't. I
What?
couldn't.
What's wrong? You don't like the Patriot either, do you?
No, I like the Patriots. Actually, I like the
So
Patriots.
so I'll use the Patriot. Not historically accurate at all, but it's a good movie.
Yeah. I mean, Baseball's a good movie,
What's a
but
good
it's
movie?
Baseball's it's a good movie, but it's not a great movie. But anyway, I think that Gladiator is a great movie.
It
I
is.
think Napoleon is progressive in their own style. I believe it's gonna get Joaquin Phoenix gonna get another nomination. Depending who is the other people, maybe he got it, maybe he doesn't. Uh, I like him as an actor. I don't like him as a person. I never felt any charisma.
That's fair.
Torture.
Well, so the actually I remember the point I was going to make now. So I do hold historical films to a higher standard because even though creative people shake the responsibility all the time, when you make a movie, especially if it says based on a true story or based on true events, you and they often try to play this off as like, well, people can research. It's like, yeah, but so I'm a good example. When I was younger and I saw Braveheart for the first time, I thought it was accurate. I thought the whole thing was a true story. Then
Everybody, but just you. A lot of people thought that it was accurate.
that's what I'm saying though. So when you make a historical movie about a historical figure that actually existed, Napoleon Bonaparte, and you don't tell an accurate story, you're kind of letting the audience down in a way because while it's not your job to necessarily give them a history lesson, it is your job to somewhat, give an accurate portrayal of things that happen. Mild sensationalization is I guess it depends on the degree. But I mean there's a very thin line that you walk when you do that.
Something funny happened with me and Napoleon. I mean, one of the biggest phrases of his life is like the intelligence of a man is measured from his head to the sky because he was short.
Actually,
You
he
know,
wasn't.
but he's well, maybe I'm mistaken because in this movie, you never see him shorter than anybody, but almost in the after the climax of the movie, you go, holy shit! Like they go like, oh my god, he's supposed to be smaller, and they put him like really short to somebody. I go like, um, it was we see a personal, and I haven't had the nerve or the guts or the will to read the professional, critiques and the people that supposedly know about movies. But what they're gonna say is that it's a personal view of Napoleon as a man and not as the hero of war and the strategist and blah 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 blah. So I think it's okay. If I regret it and I want my 2 hours and 30 minutes back, yes, I'll take it. If I eat an amazing falafel in the VIP section, meanwhile I was watching it, because I went to this, I don't know if in Indiana they have it, because you guys hillbillies, you barely know more than a donkey and having sex with your cousin. Uh, the we have couches here, like they go and clean, and it's like a hotel. You can actually lay down, and I ordered a falafel that was really good, and they give me a free Kit Kat, so I was rocking it. Uh, so I can't complain about anything but the movie, and that's something really bad for somebody like me.
Yeah.
It was a point that I put my phone out and I start scrolling because that bad it was.
That bad. So just for the record, Napoleon stood at between 5'6" and 5'7", which is
That's
short.
small.
No, by today's standards, the average Frenchman in the 19th century stood between 5'2" and 5'6". So he was on the higher end of average.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, Peeply Poo was really small. Peeply Poo.
Yeah.
Remember the little.
Yeah. So by today's standards, yes, Napoleon would have had short king energy, as the ladies say. But
okay, keep going because I ordered something to continue. I ordered a Kit Kat from 7-Eleven. I'll be right back.
Just wait, you ordered a Kit Kat from 7-Eleven?
Yeah, because I'm gonna go. Third time. Give me a second. I'll be right back.
Oh,
just keep going. Don't stop.
Rich people problems, man. Yeah, so I guess basically that's my point. Now that we're alone, is I have heard that Napoleon is. I actually heard that Joaquin Phoenix couldn't figure out what he wanted to do with the character, and you see it happen during the movie. I still need to watch it. I was very excited when I saw the trailer, so that's a little disappointing that the reviews I'm hearing are the best I've heard is it was okay, and then I've heard some people actually tear it apart. So that's unfortunate, but here before too long.
Remember that this show is sponsored by 7-Eleven. Can you see it?
7-Eleven delivers.
Well, actually, I use DoorDash.
Ah, okay.
So I got our biggest sponsor, Coca-Cola, in their 16 ounces presentation can, and a beautiful big cat Kit Kat. Have you seen this one? Have you tried this one?
I have. I prefer the chocolate to wafer ratio of the original.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually love this one. I want the people to know that
you want the people to know that you're bougie.
I'm not bougie. I'm lazy. And I was for the audience to know I'm not bougie. I was asleep when actually Jake sent me the link, and I was like, "Holy shit! I totally forgot." Because we usually record on Tuesday, so my alarms are set for Tuesday. But for a personal thing, I needed to change it, and now we're recording on Wednesday, so my alarms went off, and my brain is already condensed and controlled. So this is for all the people that are watching this at 3 a.m. in the morning, and I don't have a code.
Ooh.
That was good, right?
Oh, before we get to Back to the Future, I have something you'll appreciate. So I sent an email earlier to RFK Jr.'s media team.
Okay.
I just asked him he'd come on the podcast for 30 minutes, my podcast. I figured the worst thing he can say is no, right?
Hey, you got to try it.
That's what I said in the email. I said, I know this is a long shot, but what's more American than taking a long shot?
Yeah. Hail Mary in the last minute of the game that's the most American thing to do.
Exactly. So we'll see.
Several of our soldiers to die in a short, but let's not talk about that.
See, I disagree fundamentally with that. I think some Americans are fine with that, but I think others are less inclined. But anyway, so speaking of the future, let's get back to it.
How long you practiced that one?
I didn't. It just came to me. Oh my God, I did see a Family Guy clip today. The bit where Marty's like, oh, well, if I'm going to disappear, I guess I'm going to go nail my mom. And then it shows the picture again. He's like, hi, I'm Marty.
That's good. Before we jump totally to Back to the Future, can you tell us, without prejudices, without being totally unbiased, about what Back to the Future is, the first one? Because believe me or not, there's a lot of people that haven't seen it, this generation. So let's present it to the young audience what Back to the Future is, please.
So just kind of a quick synopsis?
Yeah.
Okay. So Back to the Future is the story of a young lad named Marty McFly who pals around with an eccentric but brilliant doctor, inventor, scientist, Dr. Emmett Brown. And the movie is so good. You should watch it. But through a series of events that are pre-established, Marty helps Doc Brown with some of his experiments, and they're friends. They're there for each other. So Marty stops by Doc's house. Doc is not there. Doc then calls and says, hey, can you meet me at the mall tonight at 1 a.m.? He agrees, but he's late for school, so he's got to run. Later on, things happen. We establish a bit about Marty's character. He meets Doc at the mall, where Doc reveals that he has invented a time machine. Marty is helping him document the occasion. Doc Brown shows him how it works using his dog, and then, I'm not going to give this part away, things happen that cause...
Please don't give anything away. Just
yeah.
Like let's pretend that it's going to be released for the audience on Friday.
Okay. Something happens that forces Marty to jump in the time machine, which is a car, to get away. Now, because of how it works, a DeLorean specifically, yes. Because of how the time machine works, once it reaches 88 miles per hour, the time circuits are activated. Marty is trying to get away from some people that are chasing him. So inadvertently, he travels back to the year 1955, which the movie is set in 1985. So Marty, not knowing fully how the time machine works, has to figure out a way to get back to his own time.
So the premise is Marty McFly, a junior high guy that hangs with a doctor with big dreams of being a rock star, gets stuck in the past under curious circumstances that make him relive his previous life to be able to conquer and get back in time, back to the future. That's the premises, right?
Yeah, I'm very bad at describing the premises of movies, so you probably should. You probably should handle that.
But you're the specialist in Back to the Future, way
more
than me.
I'm telling you,
you love it, bro.
I can't get over how good it is. Even the title's genius.
The first scene, and of course, we're gonna talk about other spoilers. If you haven't seen it, suck it up. It's been 20 years, right? So,
it's been more than that.
Scene, yeah. Well, you don't know because we just went back to the past to make this episode.
Oh, right.
Friday.
So, in a way, we're going back to the future.
Back to the future. I know. Yeah, we needed to do that. Sorry, we've been rehearsing all week.
I haven't done a thing.
I mean, neither. The first scene of the movie, let's just start with, you can tell me every great director, my favorite director in the world is Robert Zemeckis.
He's got a really good track record, man.
I mean, he's not a flashy guy, but in my book, he's my favorite over everyone. Let's be real. He wrote Back to the Future. The first one was directed by him or by Steven Spielberg. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I believe it was Spielberg, but let me...
Spielberg is the director. The writer is Robert Zemeckis.
Oh, no, you're right. It was directed by Zemeckis. My bad.
All right. And produced by Steven Spielberg.
No, Bob Gale and Neil Canton.
How Steven Spielberg is in Back to the Future?
Apparently, he's not. I think it may have been his... it was because Amblin Entertainment, so I guess...
Oh, it's Amblin. He's the producer.
Yeah, he's a producer. He's not...
The cash cow.
Yeah.
The executive producer.
But fun fact, do you know who also worked on this movie? In a supporting role, but Kathleen Kennedy.
Kathleen Kennedy, yeah. First of all, let me tell you that this Coca-Cola and Kit Kat is waking me up.
Oh, Kit Kat and Coca-Cola is a fantastic combination.
My girlfriend gonna see this podcast and gonna hate me because I'm gonna gain weight the whole December, but I'll be fine.
Well, it's December. You're supposed to gain weight in December.
I know. Let's get back to the future. Robert Zemeckis understand the pace of a movie, and when I document before it becomes a movie, the document becomes the script. There's a lot of things that can get lost over there, and this movie doesn't. And it's so well written that we're gonna talk about Back to the Future 2 and 3, and they collide so correctly because the first one is written so well.
I always say, just because I never say anything's perfect, but it's close to a perfect script.
The first one is perfect. I don't see any mistakes.
That's fair. The first one is perfect. Because, yeah,
is perfect too. The third one is a little pushy on
A,
time.
a bit, but I get what they were doing because 2 and 3 were written to go together. It wasn't like 3 was an afterthought. Those were written and they weren't shot at exactly the same time, but they were overlapped
Yeah.
productions.
But I mean, before we go to the technical matters, I want to tell you that Robert Zemeckis is my favorite director. When he comes with this movie, for people that don't understand or they haven't seen Back to the Future, don't know who Robert Zemeckis is, his worst movie is The North Pole.
Oh, the
Right?
Polar Express.
That's his worst movie, and it's a great movie.
I was gonna say that's a great worst movie to have.
That's his worst movie. And the other movies, you don't like science fiction because I run into people that go like, "Oh, I never watch it because it's a science fiction." Yeah, but you guys watch, Outcast, and if you like Outcast, you like Robert Zemeckis. Why? Because he wrote it too, right? So that's another movie that is perfect. And to have two perfect movies in your life is, man, Quentin Tarantino is a great guy, a genius, fantastic, and he doesn't have perfect movies.
No,
Two doesn't.
but just real quick, I want to. So some of the highlights from we obviously established Back to the Future, but you've also got Who Framed Roger Rabbit that he directed. You've got he directed Forrest Gump.
Just Forrest Gump. Just the Forrest Gump. So he got three perfect movies?
Oh no, there's more than that. He also Castaway, which people What Lies Beneath, Contact, Polar Express.
Let me go back. Probably Contact is his worst movie, no Polar Express.
Okay, I don't know. The 2022 Pinocchio was his too, apparently. So
I like it.
Really?
I like it a lot.
Huh. Well, I didn't know he directed it, so now I'm gonna have to give it a chance.
You see, something really important about Pinocchio is that he wasn't doing an adaptation for Disney. He was doing his own perception based on the original one.
But I'm surprised that Disney let him do that.
It's Robert Zemeckis.
That's true. That's fair. That's fair. So why didn't they give him Snow White, huh?
I like it. Actually, I like it. The ending, as a fan of Robert Zemeckis of Pinocchio, I think that they told him that he needed to finish like that. It was going a good pace, and suddenly at the end it's too fast. Keep running like Sonic the Hedgehog is a big mistake, but I understand why they did that, because for that generation, a puppet that walks and talks is fantastic. For this generation, you need to have superpowers or you're not.
That's fair. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna have to give that a shot. But that's a good point because Robert Zemeckis can always say, "Bro, I did Back to the Future. You're gonna let me do my thing, or you can take a hike. I don't care."
Yeah, or just call somebody else to do it.
Yeah, call somebody else to make your crappy movie.
And if somebody says, "Well, I don't like Back to the Future," I did Outcast. I did the Polar Express. I mean,
I did Forrest Gump.
Daddy, that is dumb. He went like this. Biggest box of chocolate. Anyway, so back to probably we need an special of Robert Zemeckis. Probably. I think that he deserves that.
Let's get him on. Maybe we can talk him.
When you reach the Toon Talk special, that's big, bro.
Hey, maybe we can talk him into letting them make that Back to the Future Part 4.
If I could talk to Robert Zemeckis, I will convince him to do something else.
Oh, dude, I want that so bad, which I'm spoiling one of my recommendations because I'm recommending it again for people who may not have seen the original recommendation. And you're talking to somebody who didn't want them to touch Back to the Future.
Sorry.
Just showing off that sponsor money, yeah. After watching that video, not only am I cool with it, I want this to exist. I wish they would have made like a. Obviously, I know you can't get Michael J. Fox back to make it; that it's not feasible. But I would have been.
You know who it can put, and it will fantastic. Will be awesome, perfect, and amazing. The original Marty McFly. The original, the
Yeah.
one that what is Strode? Sprode? What's his name?
Oh God.
That
Eric Stro.
whatever his name. That would be so good to put it
Eric
and make
Stoltz.
it thoughts.
Oh no.
I would love if they do that because they could see how they go Back to the Future to make the movie. I know it's not what you think, it's not what you recommended, but it will be great.
It would be interesting, that's for sure. But I even like I'd take an audiobook.
Hey, to be honest with you, we could do it.
Well, it's not our idea though. I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, I tell you, have you ever seen a band making a cover?
Okay, valid.
Thank you. It's called Back to the Future Reimagined. We just don't charge for it.
Well, besides, I basically want it for me because it's in here. It's canon.
Just for everybody to know, people, I know we have new people that check this out for the first time. Jake and me had a big problem. We're running around 20 different projects, both of us, by ourselves. And not because we don't have a team of people. Oh, we have a team of people. It's because we are the lead creators and it goes crazy. So now I need to freaking do an audiobook of Back to the Future 4 just for the fans. Anyway, so Back to the Future 1. I was saying that Roberto makes it so awesome that in less than 2 minutes, we have a great soundtrack. We showed that Marty McFly has full access to the Doctor's life because he goes and opens the garage, so he got a way to get in. And we see how crazy the Doctor is because he built for Marty an amplifier of the size of a house.
And all the clocks, the automated dog feeder, and then what Marty kicks his skateboard into. We know so much in the first 10 seconds in this movie with no dialogue. None. Just visuals.
And that's a good writing. And then they put, that's the power of love. Oh, yeah, that's so good. And then Marty grabbed his little guitar that was so in the 80s. He had an electric guitar that is like a small. He plugged it, and then he goes, boom, and the same power blew him away, right? And then the Doctor called him and say, "Hey, Marty, right? You're gonna be late, right? Call him and tell him be careful with the volume."
Yeah, and then tells him that all the clocks are 25 minutes slow.
Yeah.
Damn. Which this is another you really couldn't remake Back to the Future if you wanted to. I mean, you could, but as is, because we have cell phones now. Marty couldn't have been 25 minutes late. He just looked up and saw the clocks and thought he had plenty of time.
Well, but the magic of music, music of entertainment, you can make a movie whatever the hell you want in history. We just watched Napoleon. Could be set in. Actually, you know what? I know people don't like this, but I do like watch remakes.
Oh, it depends on the remake.
Yeah, I mean, there are remakes that are better than the original.
Yeah. Like I want them to remake Tora, and I love the first one.
Which one?
Tora. But what we can
Thor. I say Thor. The 3 movies of Thor.
No, stop remaking Thor. Just stop.
That's funny.
But and I love the first one, but with what we can do now with technology,
And something else, people keep forgetting that. God, man, we could watch. We watch a movie, go back to the future. I mean, to the past, and the second one we go to the future, and the special effects are amazing. And the number 3rd, I'm not a Western guy. I would prefer they set it up in the gangsters area. Will be fantastic for me. Something that when I watched the first one, instead of going back to the Old West, if they go to the Al Capone, era.
But that's where 4 takes place.
I know. I saw it. I'm going to a point.
Oh, okay.
So when I saw that, I went like, then when you send me 10 years after what you sent me that you already recommend for the audience, is like, damn, dude, it's like, what the hell? It's such a great concept because they the movie was so important for the industry itself that until the Flash movie, we everyone used the dialogue how the time goes, how the Doctor explained it. That it's a linear thing, that they don't supposed to see each other. You get it's just it's Robert Zemeckis writing that idea that doesn't have any concept of quantum traveling, back in time traveling, relativity speed, nothing. It was a great script that changed the perception of culture so much that people until the day uses that factor or goes to the joke of like, oh, like Back to the Future in other movies. You know how strong that needs to be.
Well, Family Guy did a whole, I think it was a 2-part episode that basically was just Back to the Future, except incidentally, that was the first time I ever heard Rick Astley. Because instead of playing Johnny Be Good, Brian plays Never Gonna Give You Up.
Rick Astley, I hate him so much and I love him so much. Because I'm older than you, a few years, and I'm probably in 7th grade, eighth grade when that song came out. So my sister got a cassette.
Ooh.
So I took the cassette, and a stupid asshole called Raul Cerda hid it. Because I was a pretty boy. I was a pretty boy. And he was the other pretty boy. But I was shy. I was a nerdy kind of guy, right? And he was like more extroverted. Then I kicked his ass years after. And I can say it publicly, fuck you. And I kicked his ass. Now we're friends. We're good. We're acquaintances. We became friends, but then he did what he does, that he's being an asshole. Whatever. So, but we're good now. But he hit him for me, so it was so hard because I was such in love with that song. Everybody knew that song. And every time somebody mentioned it, I can remember perfectly Raul Cerda going like, I don't have it. I can see it in front of me. Now, if I could go back in time, I was 5'2", just for you to know. No, I was 4'2" when I was in 6th grade and 7th grade. I actually had a big spread. It was complicated, if you know what I mean. So
you took steroids.
No, I just jerked off once, and the testosterone kicked in.
You just flip the switch, so to speak.
It's like, no, actually, sports weren't making grown much. So just for the hell of it, because I couldn't hold myself, I just put Back to the Future in front of me in a big 70 inches, 80 inches screen, and I'm gonna be watching it meanwhile we talk. Back to the Future, for whoever that has watched it, is a cultural reference between what we were in the 50s in America and what we were in the 80s, so run by a narrative of the 80s and 90s. Right? Steven Spielberg presents that how his name comes in. Robert Zemeckis' film. And let's talk a little bit about how good comedy is Back to the Future, if you will.
It's one of those things. The way I describe Back to the Future is it's almost like it was fated to happen because there were so many things that had to happen at the same time. And it wouldn't have worked if anyone else had played if you had any other actor play any other role.
Yeah.
Oh, and they know that because for those who don't know, Eric Stoltz was originally cast as Marty. And
actually, they shot the movie with him.
Not all of it, but they had scenes.
Not all of it, but they start. and you know what? A couple of people told me that we talk to the people like they know that they do movies, our audience, and they know. So I'm gonna slow down. Yeah. When you shoot a movie, you don't shoot it from the beginning to the end. You select basically your budget and location, the scenes. If you never had the chance to read a script or seen a script, I recommend that you go and check it out just for, normal cultural knowledge. And it's separated in day, nights, interior, and exteriors. So let's say the first scene, if the scene is that we're living right now is interior, Jake studio. Indiana. Jake is looking at the screen, moving his gestures with a calm demeanor, listening to his that will be in trick demeanor, but listening to his partner, right? And then you got the dialogues. So we're not gonna shoot a movie. We're not gonna shoot a movie like one day here, then we travel to New York, and then we go back to Indiana to shoot. We shoot all the scenes from Jake. If that makes sense, did I did it right?
Yep.
So some of the scenes in the 50s is what they should show. This guy, the other actor, when they cast, what is his name again? Sorry.
Michael J. Fox. Oh, you mean Eric Stoltz?
Eric. Let's call him Eric, because I mean that could be his biggest mistake. Not making this, because he became Michael J. Fox. He was famous already for Growing Pains, but this movie put him in the map to be a legend of the pop culture. Eric Stoltz, he must feel really bad about
it. Well, Eric Stoltz got fired, so.
Yeah, but let me tell you what, he was a little arrogant.
A little?
Well, he was arrogant. He was, what, 24?
Yeah, but he and Crispin Glover, man, I don't get where the ego. We'll get into that, but I don't get the ego, man.
I know you wouldn't understand it, kid, because you don't know. No, but more than that, in the visual way, Eric, whatever his last name is, Sloth,
Shark.
Oh, I don't have a Milky Way anymore. I eat a Kit Kat. Anyway, so Eric was a little darker, and they want somebody funnier, more than his ego and everything. They need somebody that portrayed the American youth cleaner. And Eric was showing the middle-level, darker side of America. He was thinner, he was taller, darker hair. All those things matter to make a movie a perfect movie.
So here's the best kind of comparison. Eric Stoltz, Michael J. Fox.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. It's Stoltz. This is really funny, and I want to tap into this. And probably people are going to be like, talk about the movie, but...
We are.
In Latin America, and in Europe, when you write a script, the actor follows the director perception. The actor obeys the director perception. That is working the director together with the writer. In America, it's all man for itself, and I respect my vision. And sometimes that doesn't work. And what happened, Calvin Klein or Barry McFly, whoever you want to, if you understand the joke, you understood the joke. The character, the way that Eric saw it, he was darker, he was deeper, he was cooler.
He couldn't see the comedy in the conundrum that Marty ends up with, as opposed to the... Like, I can't remember, but I don't think he wanted to go full Freudian with it, but he failed to see the comedic side of it.
Yeah, and Michael J. Fox, he was the Fonzie in Growing Pains. So he came with that comedic stuff. He was perfect for the role. At the beginning, he was cast. Correct me if I'm wrong.
They had
Growing Pain. He was exhausted because he was recording all day Growing Pain.
They had Michael J. Fox in mind when they wrote the character. In fact, I believe he was described as a Michael J. Fox type. But because he was doing Growing Pains, he couldn't really fit it into his schedule. But after everything happened with Stoltz, they made it work. And largely due to the sacrifice of Michael J. Fox, we have the movie we know and love today, because he would shoot Growing Pains
in the day.
And then this is a fun little Easter egg. There's two. So when he leaves Doc Brown's house and there's the Burger King on the corner, that's the Burger King that Michael J. Fox would go to change to go work on Back to the Future. And he would sleep sometimes between takes. he'd do his scenes at night and on the weekends. And I mean, he was a workhorse, man, but he believed in the project and they accommodated him as best they could. You know what I mean? There's a lot of scenes where Marty should have been in the frame, but because of consideration for Michael J. Fox, they changed the way it was shot. And they also had to get rid of Stoltz in some of these scenes. But one scene is still in the movie where, if you look really close, it's Eric Stoltz.
Yeah. Okay. Which one is that?
It's the one where he's driving away in the DeLorean, and it's not a long shot; it's a mid shot.
Oh,
So
in the back.
yeah, so that is Eric Stoltz in the DeLorean.
I didn't know that. You're gonna surprise me with a lot of things. That's what I asked. So I'm gonna jump into something magnificent. I'm having the movie in front of me. It's been for 16 seconds of the movie, and we already have Burger King product placement. But people don't know. I'm gonna keep pushing into that because seriously, I got so many comments like that. You and me jump and say, "Hey, it's a product placement," and we celebrate it, but we don't explain what a product placement is. Movies get funded by the studio, by brands, and there's two types of product placement: the one that appears in the screen and the one that the actor or the character consumes, right? So in 16 seconds of the movie, you have Burger King already eaten, and in the radio station, they are making an announcement of a Toyota. The Toyota that later...
Yeah, you're right. The Toyota that Marty, the truck.
My dear friend, I said, so right now, Stella Toyota is making the best deals of the year. That's the first, and all 1995 model Toyotas. 17 seconds, and we know the year of the movie without telling us. We have a Benjamin Franklin picture, an old clock. Sorry.
I think you downloaded the wrong Back to the Future.
Yeah, sorry. Anyway, so we see, and this is an Easter egg for me. You know what? And I'm watching it right now on purpose. What is the team? What is Dr. Football team? It's a super hardcore to know.
What?
Who is his football team? His favorite doctor? How you call it? I forgot his name. I can't believe it. I'm so excited about this.
Dr. Emmett Brown?
Dr. Emmett Brown, his football team. What is his football team? The Denver Broncos. Like in the first scene next to the coffee shop is a clock that has the Denver Broncos from the 85 that they won that Super Bowl, if I'm correct. So I think that's super cool. We see a big immersed news, the radio, everything, and the first clue of the movie, because the movie is full of clues. The TV that is on says that it's a rumor that a cave of missing plutonium is being stolen, and the news is talking about that. From a factor 2 weeks ago, the Libyan terrorist group has claimed responsibility of the effect. However, the official now and this discrepancy, a simple clerical error. The FBI is involved, and again, people, it's been 24 seconds of the movie.
It's beautiful, man. You're set up within the first minute. You know what's going on. You have an idea where we're going, but it's so well done. You're not even thinking about it. You're just sitting back and enjoying the experience. And then when it comes back, you're like, oh. Godzilla -1 does the same thing, by the way.
There you go. Yeah, you cannot compare these. It's like
no. They're way different.
A fat Latina of 80 years old compared to Sofia Vergara. Don't fucking. Anyway, so I'm not gonna go. I would lovely go scene by scene, but I don't want to get bored. Production designer Lawrence C. Paul. Thank you. I think he passed already. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you can.
I think so.
But wow. Dean Condy is the director of photography. And then, just for the hell of it, I'm gonna stop the movie because now I'm gonna narrate every part of the movie. The name of the dog is Einstein. The
In
doctor,
1985.
yeah. So Frank Marshall, Kathleen Kennedy, and Steven Spielberg, the executive producers. That means money, right? Executive means money. Producers are the people that make it look like that, requesting all the people that we. So I'm gonna stop it right there. And Bob Gale. It's really important to name Bob Gale. Bob Gale is the writer with Romer Zemeckis. Now I don't know who did what. You can go to IMDb and correct me.
It's my understanding that it was a pretty joint effort, which is probably why it was good because they're bouncing off of each other and they say, well, what if this happens? Well, no, that won't work because, when you can find someone that you can collaborate with well, you can make amazing, amazing art.
Why Donald Trump is in the podcast?
Because some people aren't as talented as me, they have to work with other people. I could have written Back to the Future myself. It would have been even better. It would have been stupendous. Would have been the
Back to the
greatest.
present. Sorry.
So vote for me in 2024 and we'll get back to the future and make America great again.
If he says that, I'll vote for him. Anyway, so Back to the Future is a must-seen movie. It's a inspirational, funny, uh, healthy, clean movie. Now,
Yeah, there's not really anything too bad.
No, it's not bad for this generation. Back in the day, it was comedy. It's really fun. Let me tell you the description that because some people, high school teenager Marty McFly is accidentally sent to 1955 in a time traveling DeLorean. That's a great synopsis without giving you anything.
And then before we get too far into it, we have to bring up the score by Alan Silvestri.
Yeah.
Which I'm a big fan of Alan Silvestri, obviously Back to the Future, but also the opening theme for Cosmos, A Space-Time Odyssey, which is a beautiful piece of music. And Alan Silvestri's done a ton.
You know what? For me, he wasn't. If I were the producer, I will go exactly all these ways, and I will do two different things. Because now I'm like looking like this at the movie, right? Like I'm under the microscope. The only thing I will change, I love the soundtrack, but it's not my favorite. Before the delivery, hold a second. If I was a producer, I wouldn't get him doing the soundtrack. Of course, it's perfect. I don't regret it. It's fantastic. And if somebody could clean Marty McFly, Dave Fox nails, that would be awesome because they were a little dirty. But besides that, yeah, the movie's perfect. The movie's perfect. There's a couple of jokes. We were talking about the jokes. When he goes back to the future, he accidentally meets the mom. And
such a great scene.
Because he realized that if he doesn't meet his dad, meet his mom, he will not exist. So he needs to push that. But because the way that he appears and the way that he looks, the mom get infatuated and had a crush on his own son.
Wait a minute, Doc. You mean to tell me that my mom has got the hots for me? Precisely.
And you know what? Doing the research for this show, I started looking for deleted scenes. And there's a shot that, did you tell me, Doc, that I need to film my mom? And they cut that scene because of course it was too much. But Marty, his efforts to get back to the future and save his own future, he needs to take mom to prom and then make her fall in love with the dad, right? And now, before we go to the time machine and everything, we saw Marty McFly live as a lame life, a good, normal American life without colors. The dad works in a company for beef. The dad is abused by beef morally, as because beef is. We're gonna talk about beef a little further. Uh, but the changes that Marty's are doing in the past are gonna reflect into the future. Really cool. Uh, there's another scene that I saw that for a reason that I do not understand. The Michael J. Fox have a bandana, a Latino bandana. Have you seen that?
Well, I think you
And
sent it to me, but I'd seen it before. I forgot all about it though.
yeah, I sent you crazy. I went crazy. And he's just playing in the set, and he started talking like me, like a Latino. Like, look at that beach, Joe.
It's like, there's the beach right there, you know.
Yeah, look at that beach, Joe. I say, what are you doing? It's really funny.
And forget, to his credit, Christopher Lloyd doesn't crack once. He's still playing the scene.
Yeah, Christopher Lloyd is a fantastic actor, man. Remind me where he was before Back to the Future. He was in Taxi.
Yeah, I believe you're putting me on the spot a bit, but I mean, God, he's been in so much.
But before, the thing is, there's a before and after with Back to the Future. I think I have my iPad. That's an idea. I have it before.
Let's. I got it. So some notable, no, not personal life. We're just.
Yeah, meanwhile, Jake, find something about Dr. Um, Emmett Brown.
Well,
The characters is such a wacko thing.
well, and fun. Another Easter egg. So Michael J. Fox, I believe, is 5'6", and I believe Christopher Lloyd is like 6'1", 6'2". He's taller. So any of the scenes where Marty and Doc are in the same frame, he's hunching over.
He's hunching over Michael J. Fox.
And
Probably over a box
yeah,
or something.
and the most obvious one is Back to the Future Part 3, where because the shot is so wide, you can literally see him like bow-legged and Marty. It's like you're trying too hard.
Marty.
So let's.
Dr. Emmett Brown. And for this generation, if you haven't seen it, I'm pretty sure that you saw Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty is a homage to I said it correctly, yeah, homage.
Yeah, an homage.
To Back to the Future. That's Marty McFly in an arrogant, more different generational way, because in Back to the Future, he follows Doctor's lead. Even Doctor is not related. Even the Doctor is probably 40 years older than Marty. But he followed his lead because he's a friend. And that's something that it wasn't too well seen on TV.
Yeah.
Like the young kid, because he's even at that time, probably he was 24, 23. Michael J. Fox, probably 21.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, early 20s.
But early 20s, the character is 17, 18. He's 18. Because he's going to cut his birthday, remember?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not sure if he's 17 turning 18.
I don't think it matters, but I think he's 17 turning 18.
Yeah, because of the ball. You're totally right.
Yeah.
So he's an underage kid, and the Doctor is a grown-up guy. He doesn't work for him. He's nothing. They're just friends. So I think.
Well, but it's a friend and a bit of. It's not quite an apprenticeship, but that's one of the many reasons I love the idea for that part 4 is because after that it makes sense why they're friends.
Yeah.
And I love how full circle that comes, and to me that's just And I love the role reversal where Marty becomes the mentor to the young Doc Brown, which we're gonna.
For people to know, in the present of the movie, obviously the mentor is Dr. Emmett Brown. But when Marty goes back to the past, he's telling the Doctor really careful what he needs to know, because the Doctor in the past don't want to know anything about the future, because he understands that it will damage his perspective and relationship with Tom as well. He doesn't want to damage the timeline. What the movie establishes that this timeline is a straight line. And if you break it, it's broken, and that's it. You don't have universes, you don't have any. So there's three simple rules for Back to the Future. If you find yourself, avoid yourself at any cost because it could be a big bang explosion of cosmos if you see yourself from the past.
You could cause a time paradox and completely dissolve the time-space continuum.
I was trying to translate that to people, but yeah.
But so because you asked for it, since Back to the Future, some notable films. Christopher Lloyd plays Professor Plum in the Clue movie, also from 1985. Let's see. He is in Who Framed Roger Rabbit as Judge Doom.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. But that's just the voice, because the judge
plays the voice of Murloc in the DuckTales movie. Did not know that. Let's Charlie Wilcox in Suburban Commando with Hulk Hogan. I was frozen today. Uncle Fester in the Addams Family.
Oh yeah, but that was after.
Yeah, I'm talking after, but oh, so you want to know before?
No, but before.
Okay, hang on, let me go.
Because Back to the Future, Fester, he does an amazing Fester.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let's see. He is Commander Krug in Star Trek 3: The Search for Spock. Appeared in a few. Yep, appeared in 2 episodes of Cheers.
Cheers, that's when I saw him. I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
Larry and Mr. Mom, and then you were right. He was in the TV series Taxi.
Thank you very much with Latka, and that was fantastic because my first reference of the best comedian that ever existed in the history of the American culture was Latka. Remember? What was his name? Latka's name. Thank you very much. Remember what was the name of that comedian that Jim Carrey made the movie, The Man on the Moon? That is the life of. I got my iPad here. Everybody that follow this podcast know that I know a lot, but I keep forgetting the names in English. But I can tell you, thank you very much. Latka was a character of a comedian that he was fantastic. Sadly, died of cancer, but he said that he wasn't dying of cancer. That was another hoax until the day everybody. Sometimes people think he's gonna come back to life. They did an amazing movie called Man on the Moon with Jim Carrey that plays him. Where's the Oracle when we need him? You know, I think my brain is becoming a little lazy because the office I got to go say Alexander. What was the name? He would give me the answer.
It's a weird thing that happens when you're doing podcasts. It's like things that you normally remember like that.
No, bro. I'm like that in everything. I'm like that. Names in every language I suck. Because I can tell you everything about the character, the beats that he did. He read The Great Gatsby in a college university because he was sick of making jokes. This comedian. Oh my God, I can't remember the name. Please, people, put it in the comments and tell me you're dumb, Virus. Anyway, so I got that reference, that reference that I watched that episode of Taxi because he wasn't a regular Dr. Emmett Brown. He wasn't a regular in Taxi, and I remember that scene. But going back to the Future, the comicity and the actor that played the dad, what is his name?
Crispin Glover.
What a great actor.
He is, but again, another really weird. So for those of you who don't know, Crispin Glover does not appear in Back to the Future Part 2, but his character does. And the reason being is because for some reason Crispin Glover got it in his head, I don't like the message that money is what's important. Bro, that's not what people think. George McFly gets confidence in the end, and as a consequence of that, he does have a better financial future, but the whole thing is better.
You gotta love that.
I do. I love him as George McFly. Don't get me wrong. I love it. You're my density. Sorry. My destiny. My density. I love after the nightmare and you Marty.
Oh wow, the nightmare. So, like we say, he goes back to the past, he found himself caught by the mom falling for him as a crush, and everybody think that his name is Calvin Klein because back in the day you saw your name to your underwear, and when he failed, the original story is his dad was a creep that was in love with the mom, and he was looking at her with binoculars.
You know, he was bird watching.
He was bird watching, was just trying to see her naked. But as Marty tried to see the dad, he's the one that has the accident, hit his head, and when he wake up, he's in the mother's bed, resting. I'm talking about 1950s in America. Everything is clean, everything is nice. The rockers were put aside, right? So they put him to rest in the bed and they took his pants off. Obviously, he's a 17-year-old girl with a hot 17-year-old, and he got underwear that says Calvin Klein because in the 80s we were starting carrying the brands everywhere. So he thinks that his name is Calvin Klein, and that is one of the most amazing because the first phrase that his mom tells to Marty in the past is, "I never saw underwear, purple underwear."
Where before?
That's his first. And it's so like I say, they push. He needs to push everything back on track and force George McFly, that is his dad, that is a creep, nerdy, insecure guy.
But talented, he just doesn't have the confidence.
Yeah, he doesn't have a he's an insecure guy.
Yeah.
To
But his
he needs to go.
oh,
He dresses as Darth Vader, and he put his Walkman in the dad when he's sleeping, and he put metal music, and you need to do this, and it's such a good moment because it's totally comedy. I don't know what Eric didn't saw as a comedy.
My name is Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan.
I mean, the two making reference to those iconic moments together make them so funny.
It's
an elegant comedy with a science fiction twist, with a moral of friendship, because it's not a romantic story here.
No,
this story between the doctor and Marty.
Well, the story is very much about, well, not about, but it revolves around the friendship of Doc and Marty because their friendship transcends time. Because why would old Doc help Marty other than the fact that he's just a good person? Or actually, that question gets answered if you believe part 4, like I do.
Okay, listen to this. Part 4 doesn't exist.
It does in here and in here.
Exceeding a few people that wrote a great idea of a script, a concept, a proof of concept, if you will, and then they posted in YouTube. And our dear friend Jake, friend and partner in businesses, and co-host, adores. Why? Because this is a great franchise. It's a franchise that you need to watch. It's a franchise that, you know that we're not recording, right?
Yeah, we are.
No, we're not. I don't know, for a reason, my time is stopped, and you've been chopping up a little bit. Whatever. Anyway, the movie is such a comedy movie with a.
Well, and the other unsung hero, which everybody's great. Everybody's great. The actor who plays Biff, but the unsung hero is the editor. This movie is edited perfectly for comedy. Like I was just talking about that scene after the nightmare. They immediately cut to a disheveled George running like an idiot. Just, Marty!
But it's the script, and the script is fantastic. And the acting is so good because you really get so annoyed. And the reality is that Michael J. Fox is playing himself dash the growing pains. It's not a big difference. He's not such a nerdy. He's cooler, right? But that the feeling the growing pain. But he didn't. It's such a natural acting. What he did after Back to the Future? Before he got sick. I don't have a reference of him.
I mean,
But
a fair whack.
he became typecast after he became
Oh
like
no,
type.
I don't know about that because I loved his stint that he did on Scrubs. It was so good.
You're cutting out.
I
I
was
don't know
just
why.
gonna say I don't know. I love the run that he had on Scrubs. Did you? I assume you watched Scrubs.
Yeah, yeah, but really, what season he's there?
I think three.
I don't remember. Can I watch Scrubs several times?
He's the
He was in a
doctor.
Scrubs.
Yeah, he's the doctor with OCD, and because of that, he's a surgeon and does internal medicine. But there's a scene that he's in a few episodes, and he went to med
Really?
school. Yeah, and he went
I
to med
watched
school.
this.
Yeah, and he went to med school with Dr. Cox. But there's this great scene because JD is starting to feel like inferior because of him, and he's going to give him a piece of his mind, and he finds him in surgery where he's been washing his hands for what has obviously been a long time, and then he's basically just trying to pass it off, but then he has a moment where he just can't contain it anymore, and then he just screams and throws the soap, and then he's just like, it's okay, I'll be here, and I'll just, I'm just gonna finish washing my hands
I
probably
don't
several more
remember.
times.
I don't remember him in the Scrubs.
Oh,
I will look into that. I believe you, of course.
it's such a great scene. I love it. But so anyway,
Yes.
well, Back to the Future, he does Teen Wolf.
For the people that are, Team Wolf was before.
No, after,
Was before.
after,
Or right after.
right after,
Yeah,
but
that
after.
movie has something. Okay. The,
Light of
that movie
Day.
has two things that are legend. Oh, sorry. Let me just tell you a little bit about Team Wolf. That had two things on Team Wolf. That is a movie for the moment. The first one that he surfed in the top of a car. It was really stupid, but a lot of people cried and more in California. I don't think nobody died, but it was really stupid but fun. And the second one of the extras decided to put his cock out in the audience. Do you know that? In the audience when he's playing basketball, one extra decide to put his cock out. And when the panning goes to the left, he got his cock out and nobody noticed. Like nobody noticed till it become a cultural effect when the movie was already in beta and VHS. Somebody noticed there. Can you believe that? So that means that he was showing his cock in international movie. One guy, whoever that was. So that's what Teen Wolf. That is a really bad movie. He became famous. What else he did after that?
We got Light of Day. Casualties of War alongside Sean Penn.
I saw that movie, and now that's an Eric Slot freaking character. When he did that with Sean Penn, really bad casting.
I can agree.
He looks like Marty McFly. You're expecting him to go back to the future in Vietnam. So
then he does the voice of Chance for Homeward Bound.
yeah, whatever.
Oh no, come on, that's a great movie.
Yeah, but doesn't count.
Doesn't count. Mars Attacks.
Mars Attack. Now I remember.
The voice of Stuart Little and Milo from Atlantis: The Lost Empire.
Oh, he's Milo?
Yeah.
What a great movie. I love Atlantis.
Atlantis is so underrated. Although it doesn't feel like a Disney movie. I will give him that.
And you know what? That drawer, that style of drawing, I don't remember his name right now. He's the same guy that did Dragon's Lair and Ace, the video game. And that style of drawing is fantastic. Look, he's saying hi to you guys. For the people that are not watching and just listening in the Spotify and our platform that you wanna use, that's our my dog Oshi that is visiting us here.
Yeah. But then he also did Spin City.
Spin City, yeah. But he never hit it big after, right? Not like back then.
Probably not to the same degree, but I wouldn't say it's not like he was a nobody.
Oh no, nobody can be nobody for being Marty McFly.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, he did a Disney movie.
Which one?
The Atlantis, the Lost Empire.
Yeah, that's his voice. That doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It so matters. Doing a Disney movie is huge, even if
You
it
know
is
what
just a
I
voice.
love that is in the bridge, sorry, area of Atlantis that it's a little underrated because it was a fantastic movie, and that's a movie that I would love to see it in real life. Titan After Air. Remember?
Ooh, yeah, Titan AE, underrated.
It's underrated, fantastic movie.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
good.
I thought it was his voice too, to be honest with you.
I don't think no, it wasn't on
Check
the.
that voice just for Titan, um, because it sounds really similar to Milo in Atlanta. Atlanta, I mean in Atlantis. So
Let's go back
yeah,
to the future.
sorry, I went crazy with all the memories. Then beef. You were talking about beef. Go ahead. Beef away.
There are so many great Biffisms. I love it. So why don't you make like a tree and get out of here?
Beef is the evil character. Is the guy that at the beginning of the movie is Marty McFly's dad, and he's a brute. He's a bully, the natural true bully that has been bullying Marty dad since high school. He's in love, or he has a crush in Marty's mom, jeopardizing every possibility to save his future. And when Marty McFly and George McFly is weak, he's insecure, and Beef is the bully that bothers him forever. So when Marty gets there, George is not alone anymore. So he got a friend. And I think that's a beautiful message that the kid is becomes that best friend and guide him to accomplish the goals. But Beef is a pain in the butt. And he will be better in episode 2, in Back to the Future 2.
Well, mainly because there's three different versions of him if you count his grandson.
Yeah, the actor is really good. I don't remember him from anything else. And I think that's something big about this movie. Everybody was big, but not super big. But Christopher Lloyd probably, but they were following the back in the day with Star Wars. George, parentheses, George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. I don't know if you people know this, but it was before they became famous, before American Graffiti, before E.T., before Star Wars. Lucas and Steven Spielberg, there were students in California. And a guy that was the new director of a studio, he said he got his big move was bring the most younger, exquisite directors to make movies. So in these 5, 6 directors that he brought, there were George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. And for people that don't know that it will be possible if you watch this podcast and if you live in this Earth One, if we're Earth One, Steven Spielberg, right, and George Lucas. George Lucas directed and wrote Star Wars. They didn't believe in him, and so he make a for that. People keep saying that Star Wars was a low budget movie, but it was $13 million. It wasn't low budget. But Steven Spielberg, I kind of lost the track. I was thinking my train of thought. So when they did these fantastic movies, and then the next generation, Steven Spielberg brought Robert Zemeckis to do what he was doing. And I remember now the trend was one famous person, newcomers, so we can download the prices. So we
But
have
still,
Lloyd,
yeah, but you still have the star power to get people to come. But then,
but back in the day, the star power mattered, but not as much as now. Back
agreed.
in the star power was like the training camp was TV and the mainstream was movies. Not anymore.
But that
With
has,
and
I,
Netflix and all that disappeared.
well, but I have I imagine there was not to say it was easier, but there was less competition because that was back when, and it was even like this when I was younger. When you were a kid, you wanted to go to the movies and you figured out what you were going to watch once you got there. So one famous person was all you needed, really, because if you're between 2 or 3 movies, you're going to go with whatever concept or actor or actress you like the most.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you got to convince people to watch your thing. So yeah, you're 100% right.
So we have just one kind of famous person, and then B, amazing actor. Like I say, the casting is great. The only 2 characters, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're the specialist, is Marty girlfriend, is the one that she didn't make it to number 2,
Correct.
and his dad, correct?
And the dad, yes. Everybody else was kept on.
That is kind of sad because the franchise did so much for. Do you know why the girlfriend wasn't there anymore?
It was a scheduling conflict for part 2. It wasn't that she didn't want to do it, but she had other commitments, and they couldn't wait for her to finish up.
And she's in 2 scenes. It's like, why the hell should she do
I know, and not to take anything.
Like,
yeah.
That sounds like they didn't pay her enough.
Well, she's in 2 scenes in part 2. I guess she's in a few more in part 3, which they shot.
Yeah, like 3. I mean, the role was really small. I think.
Yeah, that's true.
Her agent is like, we don't have to do it.
I mean, yeah, really, that seems odd. There must have been something else they didn't tell us about it because
they don't tell you. Yeah,
that's what 2 days, 2 or 3 days.
Bro, she was making a film in Australia. I get it, but she wasn't big. She was making music videos. I think that Michael J. Fox got tired of Poker, and then they put a new one in the second one.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, think about it. The guy must get laid really good.
Certainly back.
All right. Sorry.
You don't. Hey, you don't even need a quarter.
They go get the laundry machine. Sorry. No, I'm not sorry at all. Come on. I mean, Seth MacFarlane can make a joke about a check because the check can be cash because the signature is like, and I can.
Oh, Marty's gonna run over your tree if you don't watch it.
Oh, you know what? Good that you say that.
That's my favorite Easter egg of the whole
Please,
thing.
go ahead. You should it. You should.
Okay, so and they set this up perfectly, and I missed it for so many years, but I am proud of myself because I realized it before I read about it and like an Easter egg list. So the mall that Doc asks Marty to meet him at is the Twin Pines Mall, and Doc even says, "I remember when this place was farmland, far as the eye could see. Old Peabody owned it, had this crazy idea about growing pine trees." Marty goes back to 1955, lands in because he's in the same place, mind you, just in a different time. So
Just
he's
up there. When he goes to help the doctor in the first scene that he's bringing to film, when he goes to the mall, it says the Two Pine Mall.
Yeah, the Twin Pines Mall. Yep.
And then you keep going.
So, long story short, Marty is on Mr. Peabody's farm. They have an altercation. He drives away fast, and while he's speeding away, he runs over one of the 2 pine trees. So when Marty goes back to the future and he goes back to the mall, it's Lone Pine Mall.
Yes, that's fantastic.
Just
so well done. This, I feel a little bad because everybody says May the 4th will be with you, right? The return of the Sith, May 4th, and the Sikhs, and I think 3 years ago, when Marty's traveling for the first time in the future, the date that comes there is a date that we already lived. You remember that? The date that is the machine? And it was a little buzz on Facebook, but not as much as deserved. And that's what I decided to propose you to have a Back to the Future special, because this generation do not know Back to the Future, man. And that's a little sad. It's a really good. I mean, I'm pretty sure your nephew watched it, right?
Yeah.
Because of you. But not everyone has a cool uncle.
It's
I
true.
mean, yeah, I was talking about myself.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding. No, not everyone has a cool uncle, so it's really hard to. And I feel bad. Maybe it's time for a remake of Back to the Future.
Not now. Maybe later. But now I don't think they'd do it right now. Not to say they won't ever be able to do it, but the way movies are made today, I just
I mean, I will keep it really close to the real thing. Just
oh man, they'd cast Timothy Chalamet as Marty, and they'd
that will
get
be Troy.
the
I don't
freaking
have
they'd get
against
Hugh.
but he looks like every kid that want to kick their asses in high school.
That's what I'm saying, and then they'd get freaking. Actually, I'd be okay with this if they got Hugh Jackman as fucking Doc Brown.
Yeah, no, but don't touch it, Hollywood. Please don't.
Well, Gale and Zemeckis both said that as long as they're alive, they won't give them the rights.
No, that's good.
Or at least they said what they actually said was they won't sign off on it. They won't be able to do it without their approval, without their blessing.
Yeah,
And they pretty much said we're not going to let you do it. But I think if they got a hold of that treatment for part 4, I think they might.
yeah.
Or maybe they should just make that into a video game.
You know, for a reason, the video games from Back to the Future, they were really good. They weren't successful. I don't know how. I don't know how Rick and Morty has all similarities and they haven't been sued.
Well, Rick and Morty's a lot cruder, and
Yes, but it's the same concept.
it is, but it's a different style of humor, and I get it. I think
They're
Back to the
dressed
Future.
the same.
Oh, I know. No, I gave it shit when it first came out, saying like it's Back to the Future. No, it's not. It's different. Is it? Is it really?
Yeah, if I make a show about 4 kids that one of them dies and doesn't talk, and the other one are really loud, and the other one is really negative, and I put it, East Park is not the same. It's exactly the same. A Rick and Morty, of course, is more advanced. It's dirtier. The doctor is an alcoholic. It's like a dark side. It's like an alternative reality from Back to the Future. I do not know why Bob and Robert decide not to sue them, but anyway.
Well, Glover did sue them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Crispin Glover did, and which is why I got confused when the strike was happening. Because Crispin Glover, what they did was they got a new actor for part 2, and they put prosthetics of Crispin Glover's face on the actor, and he sued them because they used his likeness and didn't pay him.
No, I saying what Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale didn't sue the guys from.
Oh, Rick and that'd be hard. That'd be hard to prove.
Oh, the first season. Come on, any judge can watch one episode of Rick and Morty and will be like, okay, there's similarities. The dog cannot wear a robe. He cannot wear the thing in the goggles in his head, right? He can't portray as a doctor, and the kid can be having that haircut. But anyway. So let's jump to number 2. Number 2, when Marty accomplished to save his future, Dr. Emmett Brown gets back at the end of the first one and shows us a time machine that actually flies. Because he went back to the future from the present and find this way to feel the. In the first one, you need a nuclear reactor, an explosion of plutonium. Is that plutonium, that? To put the plutonium to make it work. In the second one is garbage because he finds this machine. And in his travels, Marty McFly gets a little greed, if you will. And he gets an almanac of sport results that brings back to the past with him in his 1987. But Beef, that now is an old bitter Beef, because now he works for the dad. Older, stole it to go and stole the machine to give it to a Beef in the 50s from the first movie, so he can make bets. And in the alternative future, he's the owner of a city that is the same city that is like a little Vegas. with a casino. So now the doctor goes back for Marty and tell him that they need to save the future. So they need to go back to the future from the starting point to the future to fix it because Biff even killed his dad in the
Yep.
future. So before we keep going into Back to the Future in the second part, why don't we have some words of our sponsors?
Yeah, you know the ones.
So back, man, great sound. That was funny. Um, Back to the Future 2, like I say, is a little darker. The humor is not such in the face, but we need to understand that the 80s were dying. We're heading into the 2000s. I mean, the 90s. The glam is gone. The dream to be a rock star like Marty McFly's in the 86 are gone. Not because of the character itself, because he's growing up. He's not a kid anymore. He's 19. And the difference between 19 and 17 and 20 is huge. And then he goes to, after saving the day and go back to the future, the last scene, something that is beautiful about these scripts that they're connected. The end of the first one is the beginning of the second one, and so and so. And this last one, he escapes to the Wild West, right? The number
In
three.
in the third one, yep. Which that happens technically by accident.
Yes, by accident, and he gets himself messed because the first time that he appears in the bag, he runs to Apaches that use an arrow to destroy the gas tank, so he doesn't have gas. And if you know, 1939, gas didn't exist anymore. So they don't have gasoline, they don't have cars. So he needs, and now, Dr. Emmett Brown, in his path of saving him, the second one, gets himself into a thunderstorm and he disappears, correct?
Yep.
And we all think that Dr. Emmett is gone. But at the end of the second one, the post office delivers Marty a letter that he was written in 1839. He said 1839,
18,
right?
1855.
1855. Look at you, such a fucking
Well,
genius.
they're all years that end in 5. There's 1985, 1955, and then 1885
There you go, 1885. Cool.
and
Um,
2015.
2015. Long story short, he's going to the. He received this letter that I love that text when everybody's betting on the postal code to see if he was real, and he just got there from the past, goes back to his future, and devastated because he's with the time machine, devastated because Doctor is gone, and 2 minutes later the postal office comes and they'll let him know that he got a letter from Dr. Emmett in 1855. So now he needs to go back to the guy in his present, so he can go back to the past and rescue him. And then we find something that I found myself a little corny, but it's funny how the new machine is done with and it's a little. I think it's a great way to introduce normality to the steampunk era. You know,
Which I think is kind of what they were going for in a way.
yeah. Uh, we saw another side that Dr. Emmett we never saw before. We saw more the third one is more of a story of Dr. Emmett that actually is the McFlys, because he falls in love and he needs to save the honor of the girl. And then we saw the back generations of Beef, the same characters. We don't see the Marty McFly family as much. We just see an old grand uncle.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
they are there. Seamus McFly.
yeah, yeah, but it's not the center because it's the doctor's story.
Yeah.
I think that's really refreshing.
Yep. But ultimately, that does, because they do establish a plot element in part two of Marty basically reacting negatively when he's called a chicken, or it's insinuated that he's a coward. And then Seamus in part three comes around and says, "Why do you care?
Yeah.
So what if they think you're a coward?"
Because that's something from the first one and second one. Every time somebody calls him or any McFly a chicken, it's devastating. It's like the worst insult.
They don't overtly bring that up until part two, but it is if you read a little too much into it, it is kind of implied, at least in the first one, that Marty is quick to draw to show that he is in fact not. Yeah, not yellow.
I'm not yellow. Yeah, and then we saw a version of Beef that is like a cowboy, a bandito, if you will.
Mad Dog Tannen. Buford Mad Dog Tannen.
It's such a good, right? That's my favorite Beef.
It's up there. Personally, I'm a big fan of the original, but they're all kind of the same guy, so it works very well.
It's the same guy with the same gang.
It's the same gang too.
And I love that because it's like, as a big country, it's America and a big world. We have the same, everything centered in the same.
Well, it all does take place in Hill Valley, so that's why.
Well, either way, the way that it's shown. But Mad Dog Tannen is probably my favorite. The jokes are
Oh, don't shot that horse.
And then a million ways to die in the West by Seth MacFarlane is highly inspired of Back to the Future 3. Highly inspired.
Oh yeah.
Highly. I mean, another genius that probably one day we'll talk more deeper about him. But why we don't see a scene about a little bit, right? Probably a little teaser from Back to the Future number 3 for the people.
You got to.
All right, here we go. Isn't that amazing, man? I don't know how people haven't seen this.
No, and I'll tell you what. When I was younger, Back to the Future Part 3. I didn't just. Certainly wasn't my favorite, but I actually didn't really care for it. But as I get older, I appreciate it more and more.
I think it's for older audience because our lead character is not a kid anymore. Michael J. Fox stopped looking as a kid between the second and the third. And his age matters at the beginning because he's 17, because he's in this love triangle with her mom, but it's in the high school. In the second one, is a movie about himself and how he need to pay for the mistakes of his greed. And the third one is about Dr. Emmett. So we see a Michael J. Fox way older. Obviously, he's shown of Marty McFly's older. You can see him way older. He doesn't look like a kid anymore. I think that what happened, and it happened to me too. 1 and 2 are made for kids, and the third one is made for adults.
But it's made for adults that have just either started or have just finished.
Young adults.
Yeah, well, but adults that are starting, or at least kids that are starting to become adults and are kind of looking at the world in a different way now.
I agree with you, but isn't that beautiful because we're actually growing up even in the style without living here with Marty McFly.
Yeah.
And I think that's super cool. Marty. So many things we want to talk about. Bloopers. I mean, I will love and with the time, it will be great if we can watch the movie together. Even we put it backwards and we're criticizing on the spot. So I think that will be great. And I think we're not gonna be able to monetize, and probably they will put us down, but we'll figure out a way. If we put it black and white and, and twisted backwards, maybe that. I found that really weird in TikTok. There's people that leave their TikTok open with a projection in the wall, and it's stupid because you can watch a movie, but they have followers and people giving them gifts.
Yeah, I hate that. It's one of the things I hate the most about TikTok.
Yeah, but if you say fuck, they put you down. Well, they just care about morals, not royalties, and they're not people.
But yeah. So long story short, just watch Back to the Future. You'll love it.
Yeah, you love it. There's not a bad thing to say about it. I mean, the only bad thing is that we just have three. And we're just gonna have three, man. I don't want to break your spirit, but we're gonna have three.
Oh, I know 4 will never exist like that, but in here, I would love to see it in some form. Even an animated movie, I'd love that. I think that'd be so cool.
You know what? That's not a bad idea. An animated movie. Robert, Bob and Bob, Robert and Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis. An animated movie with the voice of Marty. He can talk.
Well, they have voice actors that have played him in other things, and it's pretty assuming Michael J. Fox. Yeah, assuming Michael J. Fox either doesn't want to or can't do it, but pay him, absolutely pay him.
Yeah, or not. I know, he's your hero. You love the guy. I make fun of him for myself. Do you know that he's opening new ventures around the Michael J. Fox? He's putting a churro stand. He doesn't have to pay the guy that put the sugar everywhere. Hey, he's saving money. Sorry. We love you. We love you. I something I respect a lot about him, that he understands that his situation is serious. He never give up, and he jokes about it.
Yeah.
And that's big about him. We don't know anything about Bruce Willis, right? And he's going in a worse thing, and I understand there are two different things, but something really big about Michael J. Fox is always been married with the same wife that he met in the set of Back to the Future, if I'm not, I think so.
That I would have to look up. I'm not sure.
No. They met in Family Ties. They met in Family Ties. And then, but she was dating Sean Penn or Brad Pitt, I don't know, another guy. And then when they broke up, he asked her out and never let go. And good for her, because she's been with him in the good and bad. So that's something to respect.
Yep, Tracy Pollan, who played his girlfriend Ellen on Family Ties.
Yeah, exactly. She's cute. She was cuter, younger. But maybe we go to the recommendation for all the people I know. You're waiting Virus Quest, but it will be boring if we keep doing by ourselves. We have a guest. Sadly, he needed to cancel. It looks like he got a hemorrhoid. We send him the best regards. Yeah, you didn't know that? There's a course. If you cancel Toon Talk 2.0, you get a hemorrhoid.
Which that's great, because this episode is also sponsored by this episode is also sponsored by Preparation H.
One day we actually gonna get a sponsor.
Hey man, I think on the whole it works really good.
There you go. So, what about recommendations?
So, as per usual, my recommendations all have a theme, and this one is time travel. And I'm actually going to take out, I've recommended, you can go on YouTube, look up Back to the Future Part 4 concept. It's there. Channel Awesome is the YouTube channel, so you'll know it. But so for my movie is one that deals with time travel, and I'm not sure, you may have seen this, but a lot of people missed it. It's a movie called Safety Not Guaranteed. And it is a movie that it was morbid curiosity. It stars Aubrey Plaza and Jake Johnson.
Okay.
And
I love Plaza. I love her.
Yeah. So the concept is there's a guy who says that he's invented a time machine, but everybody, like, he's obviously crazy. So a couple of journalists go out to find him, but then it turns out Aubrey's character starts to actually believe him. Maybe this guy did, and you find out why he invented it. It's a surprisingly good movie.
What's that again?
Safety not guaranteed.
Oh,
It's
nice.
quite good.
2018, 2020.
I think 2014 actually, but I can
Nice. Let me do
2012.
2012. My recommendation is gonna be hard. Movie recommendation. You know what? I'm gonna. I know we talk about it, but Titan After Earth. Titan AI. AE. Sorry. Woo! What a great story. What a great adventure. I highly recommend that you get yourself a big Coca-Cola, some Kit Kats, popcorns, and just watch it. It's a good movie that you can watch by yourself, with your girlfriend, with your kids. It's a good movie, full of everything,
Yeah.
right? That will be my recommendation of a movie. Your turn, sir.
So for TV show, I'm actually going to recommend just one episode. Star Trek Deep Space Nine has a few episodes where they deal with time travel, but one in particular, which actually made me fall in love with the series, Trials and Tribulations. The concept is they are transported back in time through a spatial anomaly, which actually ends up being the Oracle of Time, or the Orb of Time, sorry, which is activated by the character Arn Darvin, which, if you remember the original series, Arn Darvin is the Klingon spy who tries to contaminate the grain shipment aboard a space station in the episode with all the tribbles. So they get transported back to that time, and they actually pretty seamlessly integrate, actually not pretty, they seamlessly integrate the cast of Deep Space Nine into the original series footage. It's hilarious. It's a love letter to the original series. It's exceptionally well done, and it's a fun episode. It made me love Deep Space Nine. It was my first exposure to it, which says a lot because I think that's in season 4, and I have no idea who these people are, and it made me want to watch the show. So, fantastic.
I got a little because my original was gonna be Stargate, right? But because you mentioned I don't want to go sci-fi, I'm gonna go another way to talk about time. Hulu just released the new show from Mel Gibson, History of the World, second part. It's really bad. The jokes are old. The musicals are lame. But he's doing something that is needed by society. He attacked Jewish people. He attacked black people. He talked about racism. He talked about trans, and he goes berserk about everyone. He doesn't care. He says the N word. He's crazy. The Jewish are singing, talking bad about the Russians. Danny DeVito is there. It's really funny. So it's kind of
What is that? Life of Brian was like, I'm a woman now. Call me Loretta.
Call me Loretta. Oh yeah, right now. Yeah, that's funny. I forgot about that. I love that. So that will be my recommendation of a TV show. It's in Hulu. Just got released a couple of months back. Like I say, it sucks. The jokes are bad. You're barely gonna chuckle, but I think it's the path to realize it's just a fucking joke. Don't take life serious, and I respect that. We talk about alcohol. There's one part that I love. What is the name of the Russian guy that they tried to do him twice?
Rasputin.
Rasputin. He says like I never thought. The leaders of the Russians is Danny DeVito, and when Rasputin appears, he's like, I never thought that this will be my favorite Putin. And then they use the brand of Jackass portraying how they tried to kill Rasputin a couple of times. And the midgets are there, or little people. And it's not bad. I mean, I'm pretty sure I don't do drugs, but if I get high and watch that shit, I will love it. So, but it's good how they attack racism and jokes and just watch it. It's a thing that you need to watch because it will remind us that we're just joking and comedies for that to joke. Your turn.
Alrighty.
Stretch.
So for my weird one, I'm going to recommend a video game. Especially for all you Dragon Ball fans out there. You've probably played it. It didn't get as much love as I thought it would, but Dragon Ball Xenoverse, the whole concept is you are drafted into the Time Patrol by Trunks and the Supreme Kai of Time. And the whole game is you going back to various points in the Dragon Ball timeline and assisting our heroes because the villains are getting outside assistance as well. And they need your help to make sure events carry out as they're supposed to. I don't like turn-based, or my preference is not like 2D side-scrolling fighting games. There's not enough. I think there's less skill there. So I like 3-dimensional fighting arenas, and Xenoverse is just that. And I love the combat engine. The create a character is actually, there's a lot of options, so you can make whatever you want. I didn't cop out when I played. I didn't make it a Saiyan. I made a human character, and I kicked the shit out of everybody. It's a lot of fun.
That's fun. Now, don't leave behind the 2D video games, because before we go to our recommendation, let me tell you that tomorrow I'm gonna see the first draft of the working game of Again and Forever. Video game, The Gods of Rock, and it's a 2D fighting video game shooter kind of thing. So don't say that you don't like those.
No, I prefer the 3-dimensional fighting engines.
Okay, that's too expensive. Okay.
I know. I get it. I'm not hating.
I'm just kidding. My recommendation is actually a video game, the trivia game of Back to the Future. It was released not for a console. It was released for computers. I think back in the day, Sega Genesis did a version with a DVD. But I highly recommend that now you can play it online. It's easy to get. I think it's for the phones. So the trivia game, Back to the Future, the trivia game shows a different timeline. And I highly recommend that because if you have insomnia like me, I was going to say amnesia. If you have insomnia like me, you can just play it till you fall asleep. Be careful. Warning. Big warning, Nino. Don't let the phone hit your nose. It hurts a lot. It happened to me so many times that I'm just like playing and suddenly and hits my nose. But anyway, thank you, Nino, production. Thank you, Mr. Jake. And I will not say roll him up this time. I think that we need to say goodbye. Roll him up. No, goodbye. The way that Dr. Ehrman will say it when he gets surprised, and I'm going to give it to you, the specialist, to say the words.
Well, thank you for joining us. It was a lot of fun. We will see you next time. Your friends in time.
I have a dream